Before we follow Luffy any farther, we need to understand the world he is sailing through. Because in One Piece, the map is not just decoration. It controls where people can travel, which routes are dangerous, and why reaching the next sea can become an adventure of its own. So today, we are building the map of One Piece from the ground up. The first thing to understand is that this world is built to separate people. Huge oceans divide civilizations. Enormous natural barriers cut across the planet. And only a few routes connect one region to another. That geography shapes almost everything, where ships can sail, where journeys can begin, and why simply moving from one sea to another is often much harder than it sounds. Start with the four blues. They are the four great seas of the world: North Blue, East Blue, West Blue, and South Blue. For most ordinary people, one of these seas is simply home. And East Blue is where Luffy's own journey begins. But these four oceans are not freely connected. Two enormous features divide the planet between them: the Red Line and the Grand Line. Once we understand those two, the entire map starts making sense. The Red Line is a vast continent that circles the entire world. Think of it as an enormous wall of land wrapped around the planet. Because of its position, it physically separates East Blue from South Blue and North Blue from West Blue. Crossing it is not something an ordinary ship can simply do wherever it wants. The Red Line is one of the great barriers that gives the One Piece world its unusual structure. Then there is the Grand Line. Unlike the Red Line, this is not land. It is an ocean route that also circles the planet, crossing the Red Line and dividing the four blues in the other direction. This is the sea that draws pirates from across the world, because the greatest adventures, strongest crews, and the route toward the One Piece all lie along it. But entering the Grand Line is only the beginning. Its weather, currents, magnetic fields, and islands behave very differently from the ordinary seas. And running along both sides of the Grand Line are the calm belts. The name sounds peaceful. The reality is not. These stretches of ocean are famous for having almost no wind and almost no ordinary currents, which can leave traditional sailing ships stranded. And beneath those quiet waters live enormous sea kings. Together, the calm belts form natural borders that make entering or leaving the Grand Line directly extremely dangerous. So how does a ship from one of the four blues enter the Grand Line? For most pirates, the answer is reverse mountain. At this extraordinary point on the Red Line, powerful currents from the four blues flow toward the mountain and actually climb upward through canals. Near the summit, those currents come together. The water then rushes down the other side and carries ships into the first half of the Grand Line. It is one of the strangest gateways in the entire world, and it turns geography itself into the first major test of the voyage. The Grand Line is also divided into two major halves. The first half is commonly called Paradise. That name is slightly ironic because Paradise is already filled with dangerous weather, strange islands, and powerful enemies. But compared with what comes later, it earns the name. Beyond the Red Line lies the second half, the New World. This is the far more dangerous sea where the scale of piracy becomes much greater, and where reaching the end of the Grand Line becomes a truly extraordinary challenge. Even after entering the Grand Line, ordinary navigation stops working. A normal compass cannot reliably guide you there because the islands of the Grand Line contain unusual magnetic fields that interfere with it. Instead, sailors use a special instrument called a log pose. The log pose locks onto the magnetic field of an island. After spending enough time there, it records that island's magnetism and eventually points toward the next destination. So even navigation forces travelers to move through the Grand Line one island at a time. And those islands can feel as if they belong to completely different worlds. One may be frozen in permanent winter. Another may be a scorching desert. Another can be covered in dense jungle, while some islands challenge even our normal idea of where an island should exist. The climate can change dramatically from one destination to the next, and the surrounding weather can become unpredictable just as quickly. That is why traveling the Grand Line never feels like following one ordinary ocean road. This geography also creates power. Natural barriers produce choke points. Choke points create opportunities for control, and every difficult route adds risk to trade, travel, piracy, and naval movement. In One Piece, being powerful is not only about winning a fight. Knowing where people must pass, which routes are possible, and which gateways connect one sea to another can shape entire conflicts. The map itself influences who can move freely through the world. Now we can finally put the journey together. Luffy begins in East Blue, one of the four blues. To reach the Grand Line, the route leads toward Reverse Mountain. Crossing that gateway brings a ship into Paradise, the first half of the Grand Line. Follow that ocean route far enough, and the Red Line appears again, marking the boundary between Paradise and the New World. Reaching the far side means entering the Grand Line's much more dangerous second half. This diagram is only a simplified map, but it shows the basic path that turns a local voyage into a journey around the world. If you remember only 4 ideas from this episode, remember these. The 4 blues are the starting seas. The Red Line is the enormous continent barrier. The Grand Line is the adventure route that circles the world. And the calm belts are the dangerous borders running beside it. Once those 4 pieces are in place, the world of One Piece stops looking like a confusing collection of names. It becomes a map. And now that the journey has a map, we can finally meet the person who decided to cross it. Next Wednesday, Road to the One Piece returns to where everything truly began. Monkey D. Luffy. We will look at the boy behind the straw hat, the dream that sent him out to sea, and the promise that became the starting point of his adventure. Because before the Grand Line, before the Great Cruise, and before the mysteries waiting at the end of the world, there was simply Luffy and a decision to set sail. Next time, Monkey D. Luffy, where the journey began. Welcome aboard. Our journey continues.